Everything you know about marriage and remarriage and divorce while you're collecting Social Security benefits is probably wrong. There's 5 myths out there that never seem to die, and we're going to kill them today. And we're going to set you straight and make sure you get everything you're entitled to. And I'm going to tell you exactly why people keep talking about these myths and why they've lived so long, that they're myths that you hear in social media and unfortunately from Social Security employees. And so today we're going to talk about those 5 myths and correct the record, and we're going to show you how to get your money. And because I just don't want you to believe what I say, I am going to put the actual Social Security policy, their official policy from their website, up for each one of these myths to show that you've been thinking wrong about marriage and divorce. Okay, so let's go to the very first myth, and that is the infamous 1-year rule. So basically, people believe that in order to get benefits on a new spouse, you have to be married to that person for 1 year. And as with all of these myths, there is a kernel of truth to them. So let's go into the actual policy. So this is the PALMS reference, as they call it, the policy manual for Social Security. This is how they make their determinations on whether you're approved or denied or whatever the case may be. So this is entitlement requirements for spouses. So if on any of these, one of the problems is Social Security employees, particularly you go to the front windows and you say, okay, hey, I've just gotten remarried. Someone at the front window will probably give you the general answer that, oh yeah, well, you have to be married for 1 year. And you take that as the truth and you walk out, and then you've lost possibly a year of benefits. And social media, YouTubers, TikTokers, same type of thing. They go by the 1-year rule, but there is a 1-year rule. As I mentioned in all my videos, there are exceptions to the exceptions to the exceptions. So let's see what the exception is in this particular case. So in order to be entitled to a spouse, you have to be the spouse of the number holder. So the number holder, kind of go through the jargon here. Number holder is the person you're actually filing the benefits on. So you have essentially 2 people in Social Security internal jargon. You have the number holder, who is the record, the worker you're filing on, and you as the spouse would be the claimant. So the number holder and the claimant. So the number holder has to be entitled to retirement benefits, and the claimant has to file an application and all the rest of it. But that's not the important part. And here's where the myths come in. You also have to meet one of the following requirements, one of the following. And the first one is the 1-year duration of marriage. And then everybody stops and, okay, I wasn't married 1 year and that's it. So they come back after a year of marriage and they file, but they might have been missing benefits, because there's also 2 other categories. So you have to meet one of those. The other one is a natural mother or father of the number's biological son or daughter. I talked about that in another video. This is the auxiliary child in care, or the surviving in child in care. That's one that most people get, so that's usually not an issue. It's this other one, C, entitlement or potential entitlement in the month before the claimant married the insured. The claimant, so again, that is the spouse, was entitled to, or if the claimant had applied and been old enough, the claimant could have been entitled to any of these payments. So this is basically Social Security jargon for if you were receiving the benefits, or you could have been receiving the benefits the month before, based on your new marriage. And so if you, the spouse, the claimant, were eligible or potentially eligible for any of the following benefits: wife's, husband benefits, widow benefits, deceased, divorced spouse benefits, surviving divorced spouse benefits, parents benefits, disabled child benefits, or any annuity payments under the Railroad Act to widows, parents, children 18 years or older. Don't really see that very often. But I want to focus on the wife's or widow's benefits. So basically, if you're married or you're receiving divorced spouse benefits and you remarry, you don't have to wait a year. Because you were entitled or you were receiving benefits the month before you married, you are now able to get benefits on the new number holder's record. You don't have to wait a year. So if this is you, or someone you know, and they've been waiting a year, or they were given misinformation, tell them to write down the reference that was in the previous slide, which is the RS00202.001, and then it's going to be B5. So when you go into the Social Security Administration, you have that reference in your hand. And when the person tells you that, oh, no, you have to be married 1 year, you say, aha, here, check out this reference. And the person at the front windows, again, this is why so many people are getting misinformation, because they know the category that, most of the people fall under. That is the 1 year. But they don't realize, they're not trained. Hopefully this video will get more Social Security employees trained so we can kill this myth once and for all, and possibly all the people on TikTok and YouTube as well. They can get the correct information out there. So take that reference in and tell them you don't have to wait 1 year, that you can file because you meet this particular requirement. Myth 2 is spouse to divorce spouse. So if you were married to someone and got divorced from that person, then again, usually you will no longer be entitled to the benefits on that person's record. However, you can switch from spouse to divorced spouse. So in order to get divorced spouse benefits, you had to have been married to that person for 10 years. So you were married to the person, you got divorced after 10 years, and you're saying, okay, well, I'm divorced, I can't collect benefits on that person's record anymore. That's incorrect. Now you can collect as a divorced spouse. Same benefit amount and everything. You can just go into Social Security Administration and say, I got a divorce, but so I just want to switch it to divorce spouse. And here's a big one that everybody gets wrong. All right, so there's probably millions of dollars out there waiting around for people if they just knew this particular policy. That is divorced spouses. So if you're receiving benefits of divorced spouse, you probably heard that you can't get married unless you're after 60, but that getting remarried after 60, that's for survivor benefits. In terms of divorced spouse, there is a myth out there that once you remarry, that's it, then your benefits will stop. But that is not the truth. Benefits for a divorced spouse end with the month before the month in which they die. Obviously, your benefits will not continue when you pass away. Or they marry someone other than the number holder, again, the spouse, except as provided in, so this is where the reference RS00202.045, and just below that we've got that particular reference. So the marriage of a divorced spouse will terminate entitlement to such benefits unless the marriage is to an individual entitled to widows, mothers, fathers, child disability benefits, divorced spouse, or parents' benefits. So if you marry someone that is essentially receiving Social Security benefits in almost any form, then your remarriage to that person will not terminate your benefits from your previous spouse. And if your benefits are higher on your new spouse, remember, the 1 year rule just might not apply to you. So I recommend, a lot of this is very complicated, and you're wondering, well, do I fit in these particular parameters? Is it the 1 year, or is it the new spouse? What type of benefits is he or she receiving? The best way to do it is you go down to the Social Security Administration, or you call the 800 number and schedule an appointment and tell them you want to file for spouse benefits, or you want to investigate whether you're eligible for spouse benefits. I probably wouldn't say that. I would say you want to find out how much your benefit amount would be under your new spouse. And that way it sounds like you're actually filing a claim, because if you're not filing a claim, then they won't schedule an appointment for you. And if you just want to find out if you're entitled, then the person on the phone is going to say, oh, were you married 1 year, or this, that, or the other. It's probably good to dig a little bit deeper and have that reference. So schedule an appointment, and because you want to know the numbers anyway, whether you should, in your particular case, if you can stay on your previous spouse, then stay on your previous spouse. If you can switch to your new spouse because there's more money. So you want to make sure you make the right decision. So how do you do that? You get the actual numbers. So schedule an appointment, go down there with your marriage certificate, death certificate, and all the rest of it, and these references. So when the employee says, no, 1 year rule or whatever the case may be, you just pull out this reference and you say, could you go please talk to your technical expert about this reference, and then come back and let's talk. And I need your help. I am building a resource of videos on all things Social Security, but me recording all these videos doesn't do anything if people don't actually watch them and go get the money they're entitled to. So please subscribe and like and share, and anything you can do to the local news or anything like that, to send this to the local news. Maybe they could do a better job at editing. We really need to get the word out there. And if you want to support, check the description below, and there's several ways you can support my mission to get the word out there. There are too many social media people giving incorrect information. They don't have the experience, the insider knowledge. Social Security employees are doing a phenomenal job, but they just have they're demanded to do too much with not enough resources, time, resources, staffing, and the policy is just too much. Nobody can know it all. So we need to get the word out there and help people get what they're entitled to, and you can help by subscribing and liking and supporting our project. I appreciate it. And the fourth myth is that surviving spouses can remarry, but they have to wait till after they're 60 years old. And that is correct if they're not receiving disability benefits. So if you are a disabled widow, and disabled widows can get benefits starting at 50 years old, then here it is, the reference: disabled widows and disabled surviving divorced spouse. A disregard the remarriage. So if the person is 54 years old, disregard it. If a claimant at least 50 years old but not age 60 applying as a disabled widower, or disabled surviving divorced spouse, the remarriage occurred after the attainment of 50 and they were disabled at the time of remarriage. So if those apply, then you can remarry. If you're a disabled widow or disabled spouse, you can get married after 50 years old, and your benefits will not stop. Before I talk about the final myth, I want to talk about protective filing. So protective filing, if any of these myths apply to you and you did not file because of it, there's a policy called protective filing. If you called a year ago, 2 years ago, or you went into a local office and you said, hey, I want to file for spouse benefits, and the person says, well, you had to be married 1 year. And if these exceptions apply to you, then go into the Social Security Administration and say, hey, I came in here a year ago and you gave me incorrect information. I want to file, and I want my benefits to start a year ago. Any of these, you have protective filing. If you call the Social Security Administration, if you went into the Social Security Administration, unfortunately, if you saw this information on YouTube or TikTok or friends of a friends, then unfortunately that probably won't get you protective filing. But if any of these cases apply to you, please comment below and let me know, and maybe we'd be able to consolidate some of these and make this some type of special policy going forward from the Social Security Administration. If there's enough people out there, then we might be able to do something and get this corrected, because this is information that really needs to go out there, and too many people are losing benefits. All right, let's go on to number 5. And the last and number 5 myth is the infamous divorce decree. I've talked about this several times in my other videos, that the divorce decree, if your ex-spouse tried to do a little trick where they said, okay, when we get divorced, you will not get my 401k, you will not get the car, you will not get the dog, and you will not get my Social Security benefits. That last part is not relevant. If you are not getting your divorced spouse benefits because, according to your ex-spouse, they can't, then that is incorrect. That is a myth. Go down the Social Security Administration, you show them your marriage certificate, you show them the divorce decree. They don't look at anything in there about, oh, well, your ex-spouse says you can't get these benefits. It's zero relevance. They just want to look at the bride and the groom on the marriage certificate when you were married, and they look at the names on the divorce decree and when you're divorced. And if that's 10 years, you're good, done. They don't look at anything else. And those are the 5 myths. And I've got a lot more videos to come. So please subscribe, share. Let's get people the money they're entitled to. And if you can spare to support my little project here of getting information out into the world, I sure appreciate it. Have a beautiful day.